Lord, I don't know when the silence began, but I felt it. Slowly at first, quiet, like the fading hum of a song I used to love, but couldn't remember the words to anymore. It didn't come with a crash, no moment of rebellion, no angry walking away, just distance. Just days that blurred into weeks where I stopped praying, not because I stopped believing, but because I wasn't sure you were still listening. I kept showing up in places that had your name on the door. I said the right words. I nodded at the right verses. I even whispered amen when everyone else did. But my heart, it was somewhere else. Wandering, waiting, wondering if I was still known, still wanted, still yours. And the silence, God, the silence, began to feel like proof that I wasn't. I thought I'd done something to make you withdraw. I thought maybe I'd asked too many questions, doubted too long, been too messy for too many years. And so I started to perform. Not for you, but for the people who still expected me to shine. I smiled while empty. I served while numb. I spoke of you as if I'd just talked to you that morning. But you know the truth. You were there in the silence. You heard the thoughts I never let form into words. The ache I buried beneath busyness. The guilt I masked with good intentions. I thought if I could stay busy enough, you wouldn't notice how far my heart had drifted. I thought if I looked like I was still close to you, you might forget how long it had been since I truly sat with you. But you don't forget. You don't measure distance by actions or appearances. You measure it by presence. And the truth is, I haven't been present. Not with you, not even with myself. I numbed out the ache instead of inviting you into it. I silenced my need instead of confessing it. And now, here I am, sitting in the silence again. Only this time, I want to listen. I want to stop pretending I'm not desperate for you. I want to stop fearing what you'll say if I open my mouth again. I want to speak, not because I know the right words, but because I need to say something real, something raw, something only you can handle. So here it is. I miss you. I miss knowing that you're near. I miss hearing your voice, not in thunder, but in peace. I miss the softness you bring to my chest when I'm not trying to perform. I miss myself, the version of me who used to trust you without question. And I'm afraid that I've waited too long to come back. Afraid you've moved on. Afraid that what was once so alive in me is now just a memory. But I don't want to live in memory anymore. I want to live in presence, in truth, in whatever it is you still have for me. If you're still here, and part of me hopes, dares to believe that you are, then let this be the beginning. Let this silence no longer be distance. Let it be a doorway, to return, to rebuild, to remember who I am when I am with you. I kept looking away, Lord, not because I didn't believe you were there, but because I believed you saw everything, and that terrified me. I didn't want you to see the parts of me I couldn't fix, the thoughts I couldn't control, the bitterness I tried to bury beneath polite prayers. I didn't want to look into your eyes and find disappointment staring back. So I avoided you, not loudly, but gradually. Like someone slowly backing out of a room, hoping no one would notice they'd left. I still said the right things, still used your name when I needed courage or comfort. But I spoke about you more than I spoke to you, because deep down, I was afraid that if I came too close, you'd confirm my worst fear, that I'd gone too far, stayed away too long, become too hard to hold. I had this picture in my mind of you, arms folded, eyes narrowed, waiting for me to explain myself. And I didn't have the words. How could I explain all the little choices that led me here? The selfishness dressed up as independence. The wounds I refused to let you touch. The times I chose silence over surrender, pride over prayer. I thought if I faced you, I'd have to justify all of it. Or worse, I'd be met with holy silence. But the truth is, I wasn't afraid of your judgment. I was afraid of your mercy, because if you looked at me with compassion instead of condemnation, I'd break. And I didn't know how to let myself fall apart like that. But I'm already broken, aren't I? I've just been hiding the cracks. And now, the hiding is exhausting. The running has made me weary. So I'm here, not with a speech, not with a list of promises, but with one honest desire to stop being afraid of the only one who truly knows me. I want to look at you again. Not the version I imagined, the disappointed judge, but the real you. The one who wept, the one who stayed, the one who died not because I was perfect, but because I was loved. That's the you I want to face. That's the you I'm hoping will still face me. So if you're still looking my way, don't turn away now, not even for a second. Let me find in your gaze the one thing I was afraid I'd lost forever: belonging. I told myself I could handle it. I told myself that if I just worked harder, tried longer, kept everything in control, I wouldn't need to rely on anyone, not even you. I didn't say that out loud, of course. I still wore the language of faith. I still called you good, still thanked you for blessings, still nodded in agreement when others spoke of surrender. But in the quiet, behind all the smiles and spiritual phrases, I was holding it all together with my own two hands. I carried responsibilities like proof of strength. I bore the weight of outcomes like they were mine to decide. I lived like I believed that needing you was weakness, and that independence somehow made me faithful. But now I see it clearly. I didn't trust you, I tolerated you. I kept you close enough to feel spiritual, but far enough to stay in charge. And now I'm tired. Not just physically sold, tired of pretending I know what I'm doing. Tired of managing pain like a task list. Tired of fixing, pleasing, proving. Tired of praying only when I've run out of plans. Because the truth is, Lord, I didn't want to depend on you. I wanted control. And control felt safer until it didn't. Until everything I built began to crack. Until the weight became too much. Until the silence in my chest grew louder than the noise around me. I tried to do this without you, and it almost worked until it didn't. Until I realized that success without peace isn't worth chasing. That strength without connection is just performance. That doing everything right means nothing if I'm spiritually empty. I miss the days when I used to walk with you instead of run ahead. I miss the stillness that came from trusting, not striving. I miss the simple faith that whispered, "You've got me," and believed it. So I'm here now, empty, weary, but finally ready to stop pretending. I don't want control anymore. I want closeness. I don't want pride. I want presence. I don't want to do this without you. Not one more day. So if you'll still have me, not as someone impressive, but as someone real, then take this life again. Take the pieces. Take the plans. Take the pressure. I'm done being the center. I want to rest where I was always meant to be, in your hands, in your will, in your love. Shame doesn't shout. It whispers, quietly, constantly. It tells you to smile when you want to cry. It tells you to serve so people won't ask questions. It tells you to be strong, be productive, be fine, just don't be honest. Because if you're honest, they'll see, and if they see, they'll leave. That's what shame taught me. That exposure equals rejection. That weakness disqualifies. That the safest way to survive was to disappear, emotionally, spiritually, relationally. So I started hiding. I didn't leave the room. I just stopped showing up with my heart. I still said your name, Lord. Still bowed my head. Still spoke words that once meant something. But underneath it all, I was just covered. Not by grace, but by shame. Covered in memories I couldn't erase. In decisions I regretted, but didn't know how to bring into the light. In a version of myself I was afraid you'd see and turn away from. I didn't want you to know how much I doubted, how angry I was, how numb I'd become. I thought holiness meant hiding the mess, so I wrapped it up, buried it beneath theology and performance. And I convinced myself you only loved the parts of me that looked redeemed. But you've never been fooled by fig leaves. You didn't turn away from Adam when he covered himself. You came looking for him. And I think you've been looking for me too. Not the version I tried to curate, but the child hiding in the shadows, hoping to still be wanted. Shame told me I had to clean myself up before coming close. But grace tells me to come messy, to come scared, to come real, and I want to believe that. I want to believe that you don't just tolerate my brokenness, you meet me in it. That you're not afraid of the dark corners. That you're not disgusted by the struggle. That you still call me beloved, even when I can't call myself anything but a failure. Lord, I've hidden long enough, and it hasn't healed me. It's only made the ache louder. So if you're still willing, if you're still searching the garden, still calling my name, then here I am, afraid, ashamed, but answering. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to be known, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, even if all I can say right now is, please don't walk away, because shame told me you would. But something deeper is whispering. You already stayed. There was no lightning, no dramatic moment of collapse or sudden clarity, just quiet. Just the soft ache of a heart, finally tired of running. I didn't fall to my knees in a crowd. I didn't shout a bold declaration. I simply stopped moving, stopped fighting, stopped pretending. And in that stillness, I turned. It wasn't a performance. It wasn't even a full step. Just a glance. Just a whispered, I miss you. And somehow, even that was enough. Because returning to you doesn't require grand gestures. It requires honesty. And I had finally run out of reasons to keep hiding. I don't know what I expected. Maybe judgment. Maybe distance. Maybe silence. But what I found instead was something far more disarming. Gentleness. You didn't rush in demanding an apology. You didn't scold me for the days I stayed away. You simply waited like you always have. Steady, patient, present. And in that holy quiet, I remembered something I'd forgotten. Your love doesn't shout to be heard. It whispers. It stays. It softens. I used to think repentance had to look like tears on the altar, a trembling voice, a dramatic turnaround. But today, it looked like breath, like stillness, like sitting in the same place I used to avoid and letting myself feel again. I didn't come back with promises. I didn't offer plans. I came back with one thing, myself. Flawed, fragile, but real, and that was enough for you. I feel the rebuilding starting, not fast, but deep, not loud, but lasting, like roots finally finding soft soil after too long on hardened ground. I don't expect the pain to vanish overnight. I don't expect everything to feel perfect, but I do expect you. I expect your nearness, your mercy, your quiet, healing presence. Because you've never been the kind of God who needs fanfare. You meet us in whispers, and I hear you now. not as a distant echo, but as the steady voice calling me back. Back to grace, back to peace, back to you, and this time, Lord, I'm listening. I stood at the edge of grace with hesitation in my chest, not because I didn't believe you were good, but because I couldn't believe you'd still choose me. I thought grace had a limit, a timestamp, a silent clause that read, only if you don't mess up too many times. And I lost count. Of the prayers I never prayed, of the times I knew better but didn't choose better, of the people I hurt and the apologies I never said, of the moments I claimed faith while living like I didn't need it. I carried all of it like invisible weights, tied to my name, to my hands, to my worth. So when I whispered, I'm back, I also held my breath. I wasn't sure what would meet me. A closed door, a sigh, a silence too long to interpret. I thought you'd remind me of everything I'd done, but you didn't. You didn't list my wrongs. You didn't shake your head in disappointment. You didn't hold me at arm's length. You just opened your arms. And that broke me, because I didn't think you'd still want me. Not after the silence, not after the pretending, not after the doubts I never said out loud. But you didn't ask for an explanation. You asked for me. Just me, tired, unimpressive, still healing, still unsure, still loved. And that kind of love is hard to receive when you've spent so long trying to earn it. It takes time to believe that you're not holding your breath, waiting for me to fail again. That you're not keeping a scoreboard. That you're not shocked by my weakness. But I want to believe it. I want to believe that this welcome is real. That you still see me, still claim me, still delight in the sound of my voice when I finally speak again. I want to believe that the cross wasn't just for the world, it was for me. For the me who wandered, for the me who forgot, for the me who's still learning how to stay. And so I'll stay, not because I've earned my way back, but because you made the way back. I didn't think you'd still want me, Lord, but now I know better. You wanted me before I ever left, and you never stopped. It's hard to hold onto something you don't feel you deserve. Harder still to believe in something you can't always feel. And that's where I am, Lord, caught between truth and the tangle of my own unbelief. I hear you say, I'm yours. I read it in the scriptures. I've felt it in sacred moments. I've seen glimpses of it in the grace you've woven into my days. But there's a part of me that still flinches, still doubts. Not because I doubt you, but because I doubt me. I look at my past and wonder how you could still call me beloved. I look at my inconsistencies and wonder how you haven't changed your mind. I look at my broken patterns and think, surely this is where grace runs out. But then, somehow, you stay. You keep showing up in ways I don't expect. In a line from a song I wasn't paying attention to. In a sunrise that pulls tears from tired eyes. In the stillness that silences my shame long enough for love to speak again. I hear you, God, softly, not shouting, but inviting, reminding me that I'm still yours, not because I've done something right, but because you've made that decision permanent. I didn't earn my place in your heart. I can't unearn it either. But belief is hard when I've trained myself to question everything, to prove everything, to carry everything on my own. So I need you to help me. Help me believe I'm still yours, on the days I feel nothing, on the days I fall again, on the days I forget who I am. Help me believe that your love is not fragile, that it doesn't crack when I do, that it isn't shaken by my doubts or undone by my detours. Help me walk like someone who is claimed by heaven, not condemned by history. Help me speak to you like someone who is heard. Help me live like someone who is held. Because if I'm still yours, I want to live like it. I want to breathe like it. I want to wake up and face the day with the quiet strength of someone who knows they're not alone. If I'm still yours, and something in me is beginning to believe I am, then keep reminding me, keep teaching me, keep holding me when my grip slips. Because belief is not a switch, it's a slow unfolding, and I'm unfolding now, Lord. Little by little, grace by grace. Closer. I never meant to break. I tried so hard to hold everything together, to stay strong, to stay composed, to stay faithful in all the visible ways. But there were things underneath the surface, silent pressures I never spoke aloud, quiet griefs I never let rise to the surface. And over time, the weight of what I carried began to crack the foundation I'd built. Not all at once, little by little, until I woke up one day and didn't recognize my own voice in prayer anymore. Until I couldn't remember the last time I felt joy without guilt, or rest without worry. And then came the breaking, the collapse I didn't plan for. The day I realized I couldn't keep going like that. I tried to fight it, tried to patch the pieces, tried to perform my way back into peace, but I couldn't outrun it. What broke me wasn't one moment. It was the accumulation of pretending, the years of smiling through pain, of giving when I had nothing left, of being everything for everyone except honest with myself. I thought you would be disappointed, that you only wanted me strong, focused, and spiritually composed. But when I finally broke, when I finally stopped faking it, you didn't flinch, you didn't pull away, you knelt beside the rubble. And instead of demanding that I get up quickly, you stayed. You sat with me in the dust. You whispered things I hadn't heard in years. It's okay to fall. I've got you. You weren't rushed. You weren't distant. You were rebuilding, gently, patiently, brick by sacred brick. Not with pressure, but with presence. You didn't hand me a blueprint and tell me to fix it. You began laying new foundation on trust, not fear, on grace, not guilt, on truth, not performance. And though it's slow, I can feel it, something growing beneath the surface again, something alive, something holy. I used to think brokenness disqualified me from being used by you. Now I see it was the beginning, because you don't rebuild what doesn't matter, and you've chosen to rebuild me. So I'll stay here with you while you do what only you can do. Tear down what was never true, restore what was lost, and raise something new, not perfect, but real. Not impressive, but unshakable. This time, with you at the center. I forgot how to let love in. I didn't mean to, Lord, but over time, I learned to survive by closing off. I taught myself not to expect too much, not to need too deeply, not to believe that love stays, because so often it didn't. People left, words faded, promises cracked under pressure, and somewhere along the way, I began to believe that love was a transaction, something earned, something fragile, something I had to prove myself worthy of every single day. And so, when you came near, I flinched. I knew you were love, but I didn't know how to let you love me. Not really. I accepted grace in theory. I spoke of forgiveness as truth. But in my heart, I still kept parts of me behind locked doors. The messy parts, the insecure parts, the broken parts. I didn't want you to see those. I was sure they'd change your mind. So I performed. I polished. I gave you my Sunday self, not my Monday pain. But I'm tired of that, Lord. I'm tired of keeping distance in the name of dignity. I'm tired of convincing myself that being loved means being perfect. I want to be loved honestly, freely, fully. And I think that begins with you. So I'm asking, gently, quietly, teach me how to be loved again. Teach me how to sit still in your presence without shrinking. Teach me how to receive kindness without suspicion. Teach me how to believe that affection isn't always followed by abandonment, that nearness doesn't always end in silence, that maybe love really can stay. Teach me how to hear you are mine and believe it, not debate it. Teach me how to stop apologizing for the space I take up in your heart, because you put me there. You placed me there, not because I'm useful, but because I'm yours. I want to live like someone who's loved, to walk with unguarded steps, to pray like I'm already held, to rest like I'm already home. I know it'll take time. I know there are scars that don't fade in a day, but I'm willing, I'm open, I'm here. And I trust that your love is strong enough, not just to find me, but to teach me how to receive you all over again. There's a voice I've lived with for far too long. It speaks in my own tone, it uses my own words, and it knows exactly when to appear, when I fall short, when I struggle, when I try to move forward. It says things I would never say to another soul, but I somehow accept for myself. You're too much. You're not enough. They'd love you more if you were less broken. God is tired of forgiving you, and even when I try to ignore it, it waits. Patient, quiet, poisonous. It's the voice of shame, the one that pretends to protect me by keeping me small, the one that tells me it's safer to hide. That silence is strength. That confession is weakness. That I'll never truly change. And sometimes, Lord, I believe it. Not because I want to, but because it's familiar. Because it speaks with certainty. Because it sounds like every wound I've carried, every fear I've buried, every mistake I've memorized. But I'm tired of listening to lies. I'm tired of letting shame narrate my story. I want to hear something louder, truer, holier. I want to hear you. I need to hear you. Speak. Lord, not in a whisper this time, but in a voice that silences every accuser. Let your words ring louder than the condemnation in my mind. Let your truth drown out the old scripts I've rehearsed for years. Let your love interrupt every sentence that begins with, I'm not worthy, because I know that shame will try to come back. It always does. But if your voice is louder, I'll remember who I am. Not a failure dressed up in religion, not a fraud waiting to be exposed, but a child, a beloved, a temple of grace. Let your voice be the one I hear when I wake, when I fall, when I pray, when I want to run again. Be louder than the past, louder than fear, louder than regret, because it's only when I hear you clearly that I walk in freedom, I walk in peace, I walk in truth, and Lord, I'm ready to walk again. I've replayed it all, Lord, the moments I got it wrong, the words I wish I could take back, the seasons where I shut you out and told myself I didn't need you. I've memorized my failures better than I've remembered your promises. And for a long time, I convinced myself that the best I could do was damage control. That all I had left was managing consequences, not dreaming of redemption. But lately, something's been stirring, not loud, not certain. Just a quiet question that won't leave me alone. What if I could start again with you? Not a reset that erases my story, not a denial of what's already been, but a beginning that's built on truth, on grace, on being loved even in the middle. What if starting again doesn't mean undoing the past, but letting you redeem it? Letting you weave something beautiful from the very threads I once wanted to cut off and hide. I used to think second chances were for other people, cleaner people, more disciplined people, people who didn't carry this much guilt. But maybe that's what grace is. A second chance that doesn't wait for me to become someone better, but meets me exactly where I am, in the dust, in the middle, in the quiet decision to come home without all the answers. What if I could build a life that doesn't start with shame, but with surrender? What if my first step forward didn't have to be perfect, just honest? I don't want to rebuild my old self. I want to become the version of me you always saw. The one who walks with a limp but holds her head high. The one who's honest about weakness but fearless in love. The one who doesn't have to hide anymore. If I could start again, Lord, I'd start with you at the center. Not just in my beliefs, but in my breath, in my rhythms, in my responses. I'd stop living for applause and start listening for presence. I'd stop measuring progress by perfection and start seeing grace in every step. And maybe I don't need permission to start again. Maybe you already gave it when you didn't walk away, when you waited, when you whispered, "Come." So here I am, beginning again, not with confidence, but with hope. And hope is holy ground. I've believed in you for a long time, Lord. I've believed when it was easy, when life was gentle, when blessings were obvious, when prayers felt like conversation. And I've believed when it was hard, when you felt distant, when silence lingered, when pain didn't make sense. But lately, I've realized something I never wanted to admit. Belief isn't enough. Not for the soul that longs for more than Sunday rituals or verses underlined in a book I only open when I feel guilty. Not for the heart that's weary of distance, masked as devotion. Because belief can still feel far away. Belief can live in my head while my soul forgets how to breathe. And I don't want that anymore. I want more than belief. I want you, not the idea of you. Not the version of you I created to make myself comfortable. Not the distant figure I've tried to impress or manage. I want the real you, the one who sat with the broken, the one who wept in the garden, the one who loved without performance. I want to know how you think, how you see me, how you move through the shadows of a life like mine. I don't want to just memorize your attributes. I want to feel your nearness. I want to recognize your voice, not just in the sacred, but in the ordinary. In the quiet moments no one else sees. In the interruptions I used to resent. In the kind of stillness that makes me put down my phone and listen for the first time in days. I want to know you like a friend, like a father, like someone who's walked with me through every storm, even when I refuse to acknowledge the footsteps beside mine. I don't want to be impressed by you from a distance. I want to walk with you. I want to look for you, not out of obligation, but out of longing. I want to trust that knowing you will change the way I see everything else. And I know it won't be instant. I know relationships don't grow in a single prayer. But I'm ready to slow down, to seek, to surrender my need to get it right in exchange for the invitation to simply come and keep coming. Because the deeper I know you, the more I remember who I am. And right now, I need that more than anything else. Lord, I want to say, I'll never wander again. I want to promise that I'll stay close, stay faithful, stay grounded in the love I've come back to. But I know myself. I know my tendencies. I know how easily I get distracted, how quickly I can drift, sometimes not in rebellion, just in routine. One busy day becomes a week. One silent prayer becomes silence altogether. One hurt I don't talk about becomes a wall I don't even realize I've built. And so I won't make promises I can't keep. I won't pretend I've arrived. I'll just ask this. as simply and sincerely as I know how. Stay close, even when I drift again. Stay when I pull away because I don't want to feel. Stay when I numb out instead of kneeling down. Stay when I forget to pray and feel too ashamed to start again. Stay when I listen to other voices instead of yours. Stay when I try to earn love that's already mine. I don't want to drift, Lord. I don't want to lose what I'm beginning to rebuild with you. But I also know that healing is not a straight line. And sometimes the most honest prayer I can pray is, please don't leave me when I'm the one who forgets. I'm learning that grace isn't about perfection, it's about presence. And if your presence is as faithful as you say it is, then even when I wander, you'll follow. Even when I fall silent, you'll still speak. Even when I let go, you'll hold on. That's what I'm asking for now. Not a guarantee that I'll never break again, but a savior who stays when I do. Someone who sits beside me in my silence and says, I'm still here. I don't need a perfect record. I just need a God who doesn't keep score. A shepherd who knows his sheep will sometimes wander and still goes after them anyway. So if I drift, Lord, gently pull me back. Whisper truth into the noise. Remind me who I am. And more than anything, remind me who you are. The one who stays, the one who sees, the one who never calls distance too far. And if you stay, I will always find my way home. I've thought about it so many times, how easily you could have walked away. No one would have blamed you. I gave you every excuse, every reason. I pushed you out. I ignored the still, small voice. I looked for peace in places that only made the ache louder. I chose noise over nearness, pride over prayer, distance over dependence, and still you stayed. Not out of obligation, not because I earned another chance, but because that's who you are. You are the God who stays, the God who waits, the God who doesn't flinch at the mess or retreat from the silence. You've seen every version of me, the one who worships and the one who wanders, the one who believes with childlike faith and the one who questions everything, the one who comes running and the one who won't even lift her eyes. And still, you stayed. Not with conditions, not with resentment, not with a finally when I turned back, but with compassion, with welcome, with arms open wide like they'd never closed. I can't explain that kind of love. It breaks every rule I thought applied to being worthy. It silences the shame that said I had to keep proving myself. It whispers, again and again, you were never too far. Lord, thank you. Thank you for being the one who didn't give up, who didn't need me to get it all together before calling me beloved, who never treated my distance like a deal breaker. I know what it's like to be left. I know what it's like to feel forgotten. I know what it's like to believe I have to work to be wanted. But you undid all of that. You rewrote the story with every moment you refused to walk away. And now, when I look back, I don't just see my failures. I see your footprints beside every one. Quiet, constant, kind. Thank you for staying when you didn't have to. Thank you for loving me in the chapters I never thought you'd read. Thank you for being the kind of savior who doesn't need a spotlight to show up, just an open heart. You didn't leave when I was lost. You stayed so I could be found. And that truth will echo in me forever. I used to think surrender meant staying still. That to be safe with you, I had to remain, kneeling, whispering, always asking for forgiveness. But now I understand. Forgiveness is not the end, it's the beginning. Redemption is not where the story stops, it's where it starts to rise. So here I am, Lord, standing in the quiet aftermath of being loved without condition, and I'm ready to move. not run ahead, not prove something. Just walk with you, not as someone perfect, not as someone who has everything figured out, but as someone who knows where they belong now. And it's with you, in the ordinary, in the unseen, in the laughter and the doubt. I don't need every day to be emotional. I don't need constant signs or dramatic moments. I just need your hand, and I know now you've never let it go. I used to walk for you, to try to impress, to be useful, to make up for where I failed, but that was striving, and striving is exhausting. This is different. This is a slow, sacred kind of movement, not for approval, but from identity, from peace, from the still, steady truth that I'm already loved. I want to walk like someone who knows they're forgiven, to look at the world with compassion, not comparison, to see others not as threats, but as stories, just like mine, till unfolding. I want to speak gently, listen deeply, move humbly, not to earn holiness, but to reflect the one who's been holy with me. You don't demand perfection as I walk. You invite presence, attention, love. I'm ready to live like that now, to make room for grace in every step, to stop fearing what's next because I know you're in it, to leave behind the fear that once told me I had to do it alone. I'm not alone, I never was. So this is me, no longer on my knees begging to belong, but on my feet, walking in the fullness of what you've already given. Life, love, freedom. I'm ready now, not to run away, not to run ahead, but to walk with you. One step, one breath, one grace at a time. If you made it this far, thank you. Thank you for showing up with your whole heart, for letting your questions breathe, for walking this path back to presence. This wasn't a performance, it was a pilgrimage, and even now, the journey continues. Not in perfection, not in certainty, but in the simple act of walking with the one who stayed. So breathe deeply, lift your head, because you're not who you were when this began. You are known, you are loved, and you're ready now to walk forward, not alone, but with God, always with God.